thing we're going to start off with was taking positive steps of service award.
Yeah, so the Wisconsin Association of School Boards allows school districts to honor local businesses for being business partners. And so the school district of Lodi nominated 4 businesses for that award. So we have 3 of them here tonight. One of them couldn't make it tonight, and we will honor them at the next board meeting. So the first business we'd like to honor is the Psychotherapy Center of Wanakee. So I could ask Melissa Brown, John Weiss, and Melissa Olson to step up, and we'll put you at the front while we talk about you.
Because you're doing great things.
Yeah,
Yes.
the School District of Lodi, and I'm just going to read the nomination that went. So the School District of Lodi has completed its 2nd-year partnership with the Psychotherapy Center of Wanakee. The partnership started due to the many barriers students and families were having to access outside therapy services, including extensive wait lists, transportation, and missing work and school. The Psychotherapy Center of Wanakee has reduced or eliminated these barriers for many of our families. PCOW, as we call it, is committed to integrating services in the school setting, working in partnership with school staff, and providing therapy services at all school buildings in the district. During the 23-24 school year, PCOW provided 977 therapy sessions for our students. In addition to these services provided for students, PCOW has provided resources for staff members, including professional development on mental health and mental health support. The district greatly appreciates this partnership and looks forward to our continued work together. So thank you so much for all you do. And as I mentioned, we have a beautiful certificate for you, suitable for framing,
Yes, absolutely.
and a bonus, $100 grand for each of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How lovely. Thank
Anything you
you.
want to say?
Well, first, thank you so much for this. And also thank you so much for the partnership. It's been amazing. We now have 7 therapists dedicated to the district. Wow. And they all universally tell us how much they love working in the district. I've had the opportunity to do several presentations within the district, and staff has been amazing and welcoming and wonderful questions and really committed. We've just really enjoyed the partnership and are really honored and grateful that it's working and look forward to it for many years. So thank you.
Thank you.
We are just as honored to
Yeah,
have
we
you.
are.
Thank you.
And grateful.
For what you're doing for our kids and our staff. It's amazing. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to share that Lodi is deep and true to my heart, and I miss the other owner. I don't come here specifically, I go to other schools, but Lodi is where my grandparents grew up. They owned Vitale's Hideaway before it became. So the Vitales and then the Olsons that were farming out in by Gibraltar. So this is just kind of like a full circle. They would be proud.
Oh, yes, definitely.
All of our partnership.
Yeah. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to take your picture in front of the Lodi banner. Take a picture with them, Heather? Have your school board member join you.
A little as fast as I can.
Yes.
That's very cute.
Everybody look.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. The second business we'd like to honor is Lodi Valley Dental. So the School District of Lodi would like to nominate Lodi Valley Dental for the WASB Business Honor Roll. They partner with our middle school and incentivize their Halloween candy collection, donate $1 for each pound of candy collected to a local charity. Also, staff from Lodi Valley Dental present to our elementary school about their teeth, what a cavity means and how it forms, and how to care and protect our teeth. The district appreciates our partnership with Lodi Valley Dental, and we look forward to growing this partnership even more in the future. Just what we need, candy. Yeah, right? That's what you give a dentist.
Grand.
There you go. Grand. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, thanks.
So yeah, thank you guys for recognizing us. I moved here almost 20 years ago already. So obviously you guys, most of you know my kids, I raised them here. He's got one on the way. We're trying to convince him to move up this way as well. Great community. I always try to give back to people in the community. I always say, like, I am who I am today because of the community. So you guys do a great job with the school, and pretty proud to be a Lodidian now. So thank you guys very much. Thanks for recognition.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you for touching our football players.
All right. And our last business that we're honoring tonight is the Triton Farm Corn Maze and Pumpkin Patch. So again, the nomination is for the Triton Farm Corn Maze and Pumpkin Patch for the WASB Business Honor Roll. The owners, Angie and Alan Trinan, have been regular participants in our Career and Jobs Fair at Lodi High School, have employed many of our middle and high school students over the years. They've opened up their farm for countless opportunities for our students and teachers in the district, as well as our exchange programs through field trips and educational programming. The district appreciates the close relationship we have with Angie, Alan, and everyone else at Triton Farms, and look forward to growing this partnership even more in the future. Gotta give Alan one too, right?
Yeah, he couldn't make it tonight, he was working. So.
Well,
Yeah, so thanks. It was good. I would not be able to have this business without the Lodi High School students who staff it year after year. It's a great workforce, and yeah, it's a super fun business to be in, and those kids make it particularly fun. It's really great to have a relationship with the school. So, thanks for developing my, employees. For
well, thank you for developing our kids.
yeah,
It's
good.
Full circle.
Thank you,
Thank
Angie.
you for everything.
Welcome.
As they're getting their picture taken, just to let you know, we'll have ETC will be honored next month. A bunch of those people are involved with the musical tonight. So,
a little busy.
Busy tonight. And just to let you know, the Lodi businesses that have been on the WASB honor roll in previous years have been Pre-Emergency Planning, Brian Schmidt Enterprises, Lodi Veterinary Care, the Associated Bank of Lodi, Lodi Piggly Wiggly, and Lodi Sausage Company. We've honored them in the past. So, again, congratulations to our businesses, and thank you for our partnership. We really appreciate it. So.
All right, thank you guys so much. We do not have any public input tonight, so we're gonna go over our consent agenda items. We have our minutes. We have our vouchers, our credit card transactions, our accounts payable, and our voucher, And then we have some fundraiser requests. Spring Play fundraiser selling scented pencils and our musical cookie sales. We do not have any fundraiser reports, and we do not have any field trip requests at this time. We have some committee recommendations for approval. Our Facility and Finance Committee recommendations for our phone system upgrade and our turf replacement funding. And our Curriculum Committee has our library plan and new course approvals. Other, we have a Wednesday night activity request. Resignations and retirement. We have no retirements, but we do have a middle school special education assistant resignation, JV softball coach resignation, girls middle school basketball coach resignation, and primary school OSC music teacher registration. And then we also have high school head volleyball coach not returning. For co-curricular, we have a dance team coach, JV volunteer softball coach, high school volunteer boys basketball coach, and high school assistant mock trial coach. For crew, we have 17 crew volunteers, and then we also have 2 crew instructors. For our regular staff, we have a long-term high school social studies teacher, long-term high school science teacher, long-term, these are all subs, by the way, because it sounded kind of funny just saying long-term high school social studies teacher, long-term physical or primary school physical education teacher, and then a special education assistant level increase.
I'll make a
And
motion.
one more, sorry.
Sorry.
Under personnel, we have 1 leave without pay request.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Now, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of the approval of Laura DiAgostino as high school assistant mock trial coach.
I'll second.
Motion by Terry, second by Sarah Ramish. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right, we have our administrative reports, and we will start with, our student rep couldn't be here tonight.
He's at musical practice. This is the musical week, so.
He's Mr. Involved,
Yes.
as we all know. So we will go to our curriculum. And
He is not here either. He is at representing us at a jobs fair, at Educational Jobs Fair at the
cool.
university, so I asked Nick to go do that for us tonight, so his report is there.
thank you, Nick. All right, so we will move on to LCAT.
Oh, there we go. All right. So LCAT and the Lodi Police Department sponsored a public presentation about CBD and products containing synthetic THC, like Delta-9. Drug recognition expert detective Pete Warning from the Portage Police Department presented facts about current THC consumable products and the danger that they may pose to our kids and all members of our community. The event took place on Tuesday, October 26th, from 7 to 8 p.m. This pre-recorded presentation was played on the school's YouTube channel. Additionally, the LCAT team offered a watch party at the district office, followed by a brief discussion. Sarah met with middle school life skills teacher Brian Bauer during staff collaboration days. LCAT will provide a presentation in January 2025 when Mr. Bauer covers lessons on drugs and alcohol. Brian taught the in-depth program to one student who violated the tobacco-free school policy. This is the second student who has been taught the in-depth program this school year. Brian taught the Prime for Life program to 4 students. Prime for Life is taught to the students who violate policies concerning drugs and alcohol. As of November 1st, 2024, 5 students have been taught Prime for Life this school year. LCAT finalized a strategic plan to help guide them for the next 5 years. It took a series of meetings and teamwork to accomplish this goal. On Wednesday, October 16th, a planning meeting occurred with students, school staff, and community members. On Wednesday, October 30th, a coalition met and reviewed the information and formed the strategic plan. Members of the coalition are presenting this plan to the board tonight. LCAT participated in the City of Lodi's business trick-or-treat event held on October 25th. LCAT provided free medication lock boxes, safety flyers, and of course some candy to everyone who visited us. The LCAT trailer was utilized for 8 different events in the months of September and October. The trailer is parked for the months of November through March due to the weather.
Thanks, Terry. Student service.
This week, we celebrate the contributions of school psychologists and the important role that they play in our schools and in our communities. This year's theme is Together We Shine, and that reflects the importance of resilience and growth as students, educators, and community members navigate the challenges we have faced to our mental and physical health. So this week, we would like to recognize Andy Rubino for her exceptional work across the district. You just got some updates from our partners at PCOW, but I also wanted to let you know that on November 1st, during our collaboration day, our pupil service team met with the therapists that service our students in our schools. This really allows us for a comprehensive approach by combining the expertise of our school staff along with those external mental health professionals to really align and promote consistency and transfer of skills that they are learning in therapy into the other school settings. Also, just to update you, during the month of September, they provided 76 therapy sessions for our students, and in October, 123. And as a reminder, our therapists travel to all of our school buildings and have parent support throughout this process. In October, we held our first developmental screening day. This is a community service that supports the early identification of developmental delays and learning challenges and provides insight into students' growth. I want to give a big shout out to our early learning team, which members are listed there, and also a big thanks to our Lions Club, who helps us with our vision screenings on those days. I also want to make the board aware that on Friday, this coming Friday, November 15th, a team from the Department of Public Instruction, including the Assistant State Superintendent, will be visiting the Lodi School District to spotlight the district's use of our Get Kids Ahead initiative funding. Our district was chosen as a school to highlight based on the periodic report submitted to DPI. Each school district received 2 rounds of funding, which began in the spring of 2022. Of course, with all grants, there are funding requirements, and this was in the area to support social emotional learning, professional development around mental health, consultation with outside therapy agencies, and establishing learning communities where students feel supported and their needs are being met. For us, we aligned this, of course, to the way that the grant is set up for those requirements, and also really stayed focused on our strategic plan within Pillar 2. Some of the highlights for funds that were used, professional development for teachers from responsive classroom and developmental designs. These are the trainings to help us implement strategies like morning meeting and advisory. Curriculum materials for implementing morning meeting and advisory, so books and materials that will keep us sustaining those things for many years to come. We also utilize those materials for our PPGs in the last couple of years working with staff. We were able to fund curriculum upgrades for the kindergarten through 5 classroom guidance, which is second step. We were able to create a sensory space known as the Zen Den in OSC. They didn't have a space like that prior, so we were able to kind of create that for them. We were also able to update sensory spaces across the district to provide many different options for equipment to meet students' needs and incorporate movement and physical well-being as well. We were able to train 18 staff members in youth mental health first aid outside of their contracted hours. We were able to purchase the Reframing Student Behavior Curriculum, which we're utilizing this year in our SEL PPG with our staff members. Our pupil service team was able to attend the Mental Health Academy, and we also were able to consult with outside agencies to meet the needs of some of our students that had more significant mental health needs. So they are coming to visit on Friday, and they will be in LES and OSC.
That is awesome. That is
That's a
so
lot.
much.
That is a lot.
It's incredible. Thank you. Lodi Primary School.
Good evening. So first, there were just some pictures from the Halloween parade. It was a huge success as always. Kids have a great time with that, as well as the staff and dressing up for that. In regards to Pillar 1, preparing for the future, we held our universal screening meetings after that fall assessment and really started to think about what we would be doing for our second round of WIN, that What I Need time. One of the things I wanted to highlight was UFly. This is a program that was developed by the University of Florida Literacy Institute, and this summer, all of our custom teachers opted to get trained in this program and intervention. And it focuses on these 3 really key foundational skills, developing awareness of the segments of sounds, teaching students to decode words, analyze word parts, and write and recognize words, and then ensuring that students are reading connected text. So our students that are not yet at the 25th percentile as developed or designed by that reading plan, this is the intervention that we are using with those students. So just wanted to highlight that there. And then down to Pillar 4, surveys are a great way for us to get individual feedback from our staff. And there were 2 surveys that we've done recently at the primary school. The first was the first 20 days. Our impact team started this 2 years ago, and it's just a great way for us to reflect on that pre-session and that beginning month and what that looks like for our students as they transition in. So teams from this are going to be starting to already plan for next fall and what that looks like. And then I gave my perception survey with my staff, again getting a chance to see areas that they think that I may be doing well, as well as those next steps. And so some things that I'm going to continue to grow on is that training for staff to make sure they can do their jobs effectively, as well as making sure they have opportunities to participate in decisions that affect them. And really a lot of that is using our impact team as well as our lead EAs to do that. So
Thank you. Lodi Elementary OSC.
Hello. So a couple of things I wanted to highlight on the report was, first of all, like Amy said, is we're in that next round of WIN, and that's that What I Need time. And so I put that kind of schedule of our 4 rounds that we do K-5, and talked about how we utilize that structure to be able to meet kids where we're at. And if you look at our forward results as a district, you would see that we really do a great job of servicing our striving students. And a lot of that goes to the work and the collaboration that's needed to be able to utilize our resources to the best of our abilities, to help recognize where kids are at, and then have strategies and interventions like Amy had just mentioned to help them grow, and then progress monitor that so we know that they're headed in the right direction. So at the bottom there, it's super small, but that's just one team's kind of structure. It doesn't have the kids in there or anything, but just the structure that we use, our resources to be able to meet those needs. You'll notice there's some math, there's some reading, there's some extension, there's SEL. Different things that we recognize for kids' needs and how we do that. And that doesn't look the same for every grade level or team, but that's how it looked for that one. And then going down, you'll see we had some costumes from our costume parade as well, but also highlighted our all-school recess plan. Last year, we really focused on making sure we had LES and OSC together, and we thought, well, when can we do that? That is a structure that makes sense, that's predictable, and we talked about doing that on Thursdays before collaboration days. We thought, well, now that we changed our lunch plan, do we keep doing that? And we said yes. What was the purpose of doing that as we talked about it for Impact Team? It was really for not just students to interact between grade levels, but also for staff to be able to get together. And so we created a plan so that we could support our certified staff to be able to have some extra time together, but also then our support staff. And so you can see that there. If you keep going down, district workforce, talked about parent-teacher conferences and the great opportunity it is to always connect with families and talk about what's important. A big shout out to our PTO and to Subway for providing meals for staff during that time. It just says a lot to our staff about the support we have in this community. It might seem small, but it doesn't seem small to them. And then also our staff gatherings. We were setting this up. Really, the office staff, Deanne and Kathy, were really setting a lot of this up in the past. And we kind of this summer thought about how we could foster this and let some people have some creativity. And so we created teams for every month. And so this is just so far how the teams have set up a staff gathering. It's looked different every time. Sometimes it's one event. Sometimes it's, every Monday throughout this month. So it's been really fun to get together in some different ways. And yeah. The last thing I just wanted to highlight was just our partnership with the police department with our evacuation drill. Thank you.
Thank you. Lodi Middle School.
All right, good evening, board. First thing I want to highlight under Pillar 1 is the sixth graders travel to the Wisconsin Science Festival. And it's an opportunity for them not to only learn about some different fields of science, but it's also an opportunity for them to learn about future careers and opportunities there. They went to the Science Festival. Not only that, they also toured UW campus to kind of see what kind of opportunities lie just down the road. Flipping to Pillar 2, a few different awesome events we had. First of all, we had an author visit. We had Carla Valente visit, and thanks to Sarah Ripp for organizing that for us. She came and she shared about her books that she writes. She shared about how her Mexican heritage has had an impact on those books, and then all students created, and I'm not going to be able to say this very well, but it's called an Alebrije, which is like a fantastical character from Mexican heritage. Then we had our middle school dance, which are always awesome. We do 2 of those every year. We had over 100 students that were there, and it looks as fun as, it was that fun, so it was amazing.
They're dancing, right?
Oh, they're all dancing.
And they're all yelling.
There's no lack of dancing at our middle school dance. It's not well, it depends what grade. The 6th graders are just all over dancing, and the 8th graders kind of are not so sure anymore.
Right. They're watching each other.
Then we celebrated Halloween. We had lots of awesome characters. We had.
Who was Elf?
I was Elf, actually. So I want to give a shout out to the staff that dressed up, because the kids really appreciate that. I want to give a shout out to our 3 therapy dogs that also dressed up as a part of this, and just all the kids in their awesome costumes. And the group costume was super awesome. The Minions up top there with Gru was a super fun set of costumes there as well. And then going to Pillar 3, Innovative Community Connection, I just want to thank Melissa Walsh and all the parents that donated food for the taco bar. Again, like Eric said, like those little things mean such a big thing. Like when they have such a long day like that and they're going 7:30 to 7:30 to have just like something that they don't have to take something off their plate that day, like preparing a meal for themselves that evening, is something that they really appreciate. So just thank you to all, everybody that donated food for that, and Melissa Walsh for getting that organized. And that's all for the middle school.
Thank you. High school.
All right, thanks, Heather. First of all, a couple student recognitions. Hayden Struce Clark, who is a junior, recently competed in the Marine Corps Marathon 10K. In that race. He placed 84th out of 4,714 participants, placed 72nd out of 2,109 boys, and was 4th out of 70 his age group. So I thought that was pretty amazing.
I would say.
So his mom shared that with me and was really proud of him, so I wanted to recognize him.
Oh,
We have
yes.
3 students in the arts, Juniper Schmidt, Sasha Rudinsky, and Emily Tenbarge, that recently performed at the Overture Center as part of the Wisconsin State Honors Choir, so congratulations to them. You can read a little bit more about what that was like for them. And we have the Music Man, which is actually starting this week, so performances are this weekend. There's a senior citizen performance that's happening on Thursday at the high school, starting at 12:30. But you can see the dates and the times, and you can easily go to our website and purchase tickets, and you can see the prices for those. So The Music Man is a very popular musical that I'm sure most of you are familiar with. We're very excited about many of our students getting involved in that. So that's going to be starting up here soon. I wanted to thank the Optimist Club for the Optimist Candidate Forums that they helped us run this past month. So we hosted 2 candidate forums. One with Sarah Kieski and Joan Balwig, and the other one with Maureen McCarville and Rebecca Witherspoon. We had 5 classes that were there to be a part of the first forum, and then 4 classes that were there to be a part of the second forum. So it's a great opportunity for our students to be a part of the democratic process. So I really appreciate the Optimist Club for holding it at the high school. Our new NHS advisor, Andy Heimerman, ran our first annual National Honor Society Halloween drive. So over 25 NHS members went out during Halloween and collected food items. They were able to take the items to reach out Lodi, and they were actually able to stock the shelves. So I really appreciate Andy and all the NHS students for doing that. There are over 20 students that helped. We also had an induction ceremony. It happened yesterday, so it's not in my report. So 20 students were actually inducted into the National Honor Society yesterday, which was a great ceremony. FFA convention. So I think it was Mr. Richter last year took our kids to the FFA convention. So Connor Anderson, our FFA director, took 6 kids to the national convention, which happens always in Indianapolis. They did lots of amazing things, toured some agriculture businesses, and learned about the industry. And we have some students and staff that are in Thailand right now. So we have 11 students and 4 staff members. And you can read all their names there. So they are safe and they're having a great time over in Thailand. They've sent me a few pictures, and it looks like they're having a lot of fun. The Santa project I wanted to mention, Pam Cunningham, who is one of our administrative assistants at the high school. She's been a part of this for many years. This has been going on for 30 years in the community. Last year we helped over 40 families with more than 100 children. If you'd like to donate, whether it's monetary, you can donate monetary donations, or you can give presents. You can see Pam's, it's not Pam's school email, but the Lodi Santa Project at gmail.com, so feel free to contact Pam if you're interested in helping out. And the number of hours that Pam puts in wrapping presents, getting them to the families is incredible. So I really appreciate Pam and her efforts with that. Next page, you can see a couple of our advocate broadcasts, so you can click on those. There are links. You can see some of the things that are going around Lodi High School that we're sharing with students. And then we also had a Halloween dress up challenge with our staff, so I really appreciate them doing that, even though they begrudgingly sometimes do. So you can see some of the staff members and how they dressed. And if they dressed in a certain theme per department, they got extra points. So the office staff, we were roadies. I think the English department, they were hippies, and so on. I'm not sure what the special ed department's doing there, but it was nice that they dressed up. I think the students really appreciate it. I did want to mention today that we did have a Veterans Day program, but again, that is not in here, so I appreciate all of the efforts of all the students and staff that were involved in that. And I know a couple of our principals have mentioned it, but at parent-teacher conferences, Melissa Walsh organizing parents bringing food for our teachers, and that was huge. So that's the high school. Thank you.
Wait, what were you for Halloween?
I was a roadie.
Roadies, that's it. Okay.
So we were roadies, or we were confused with bikers, but we were roadies.
But do you guys know what the pink, is that pink dye?
That, I don't know how that person got into our thing. But
I just
no, that is,
wondered how that
that's
worked.
Kieran Goheen. She's a pink unicorn.
She just snuck in.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
she
she's
just snuck in.
funny. That woke me up actually as I was looking at this
Yes,
like.
yeah, she did a great job.
All right, Vince.
Yeah, I follow that. I just, just to follow up what Joe just said, thanks to Joe, Kate McCray, Doug Pave, Erica Bartle, and the rest of Lodi High School staff for hosting an inspirational Veterans Day program today for our community. It's a great way to honor our veterans. Our students represented our district so well and performed, and their behavior was phenomenal throughout. So again, thank you, Lodi High School, for your flexibility and represent our district with Lodi pride. As you know, we rotate that through all the different schools every year. So it's really just amazing what happens at the high school compared to what happens at the primary school. All the different ages do different things, and it's really quite refreshing. So it's fun to watch every year. The School District of Lodi Board of Education held an informational and engaging community engagement session on November 6th to discuss the work that has been done in the district and the funds that were approved during the 2022 operating referendum. The session was held at Lodi High School. It was an opportunity for board members to engage in conversation with community members about issues that matter most to them. Thanks to all who attended and all the board members who gave another night. And a special thanks to President Heather Barron and Treasurer Adam Steinberg for presenting on behalf of the board and the district. And as mentioned, please make time to see the musical this weekend. And along with that, it's hard to say this, but there are upcoming winter concerts as well. So before we meet again as a board, our 4K concerts will happen on December 5th. Elementary school and OSC concerts will happen on December 6th. So that's before we have another board meeting. Middle school's concert's on the 12th, primary school conference is on the 13th, and the high school concert will be on the 17th. So put them on your calendar.
These are always fun.
Yeah, and last meeting, we talked quite a bit about the WOPAT scholarship, moving money out of some stocks into the Madison Community Fund and into an interest-bearing account, which was approved. It's taken a lot of work to get that done. It's amazing you have to have things exactly right several times and are not exactly sure where you're supposed to sign, and you get to the bank like, no, you signed it wrong. So a lot of work was done through the business office, and Chris Lehman and Brent has done a lot of work with this, so I really appreciate them. I also want to share with the board that the district has continued to work with John Gibson and Tricor through the process of assessing and figuring out the first water intrusion that happened at Lodi Elementary School and OSC roofing project. I'm happy to say that when we met with John Gibson this past Friday, that insurance is covering the cost of the first water intrusion that we had. We're still working through who has to pay the deductible, which is a $5,000 deductible. The second water intrusion was covered by the roofing company. So I very much, again, appreciate Brent Richter's work on this and John Gibson's work on behalf of the district. It's been a long process that we've been constantly working through. So just appreciate that process and making sure that we're protecting the assets of our district as well. And then, again, it's hard to say, but it's getting that time of year the district has to keep an eye on winter weather conditions regarding to how safe our students and staff can make it to and from school. So the district will be sending out a letter this week reminding families of our winter weather procedures. And this letter will also share that we'll be testing our winter weather notification system next Tuesday, November 19th at 10 a.m. So if you're on our system, next Tuesday, November 19th, 10 a.m., you'll be getting notified of a test. If you don't get notified, let us know, so we can get you on there and make sure you are notified. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's a lot. With Thanksgiving coming up, it's always a great time to reflect on what we are thankful for. I want to thank our district, staff, and students for always recognizing Veterans Day and having a community program. I unfortunately did not get to attend the program this year, but I have in the past, and I've always left those programs with a sense of pride and extreme gratefulness. Obviously, our country's veterans deserve to be recognized way more than one day, but I think it's important for our youth, and everyone in the country for that matter, to always be reminded of what our country's military members and their loved ones have sacrificed and what they have gone through to protect our country. Without our military members' passion and dedication to our country, and without their family sacrifices and support, we, United States citizens, would not have the life and the freedoms that we take for granted every day. Thank you to all veterans and all active military members for everything that you have done for our country. I think we can agree that we are happy and relieved that our election period is over. I would like to thank all candidates, local and nationwide, for their time, effort, and dedication to our town, city, county, state, and country. Your passion is what drives this country to be better. School boards are definitely on the smaller scale of our election process, but in reality, we all want the same thing, a better world for our future, AKA our kids. I know it can be a hard time in society, at work and school especially, to talk about politics without being emotional. So thank you to all the professionals out there that have passionate political views, but have the respect for others to know the best time and place for those discussions. Elections are always a great reminder that our political views may be part of us, but do not define us. Obviously, my family and loved ones top my list of things to be thankful for, but our school district is a very close second for me. Growing up in this community and having the pleasure of having my kids in this district is something that is so special to me. Being school board president has just confirmed, which I already thought true. Our staff, teachers, administration, our parents, and our community puts our kids first, and I'm eternally grateful for being part of all of it. No one ever minds getting a little appreciation, so even a simple, genuine, looking someone in the eyes, smiling, and saying thank you can go a long way. So I'm saying to this entire community, thank you for letting me be on the school board. You have given me the opportunity to be part of something that I have way more passion for than I thought I did. It has truly been life-changing, and I am so grateful to be here. Life is going to get busier for everyone this time of year, with fall sports and activities ending and winter ones starting, the winter concerts, and not to mention life in general gets busier at this time. Please remember to stop, breathe, be grateful, even those moments that the kids are driving you crazy. Take it all in and enjoy every second of it. All right, now we are moving on to our LCAT, strategic planning presentation.
Yeah, so strategic planning and recommendation. So at the October meeting, the board approved the following charge for the Lodi Community Action Team Coalition. The charge you gave them was to develop an event culminating with a presentation to the Board of Education that will engage coalition members in a process that will inform the recommendation to, or the development of, the recommitment to, or the development of a vision and our mission statement for the Lodi Community Action Team that will guide LCAT's decision-making for the next 5 years. And the reason we discussed having LCAT go through the strategic planning process was also shared at that meeting. The board has asked LCAT to go out and secure as much grant funding as possible the last few years to help sustain their programming. With each grant comes activities that must be completed to fulfill the requirements of the grant. My concern and the district's concern is that with the directive to secure grant funding possibilities, the core vision and missions of LCAT may not always be served by each of those grants. We end up kind of going all over. The district wants to make sure that we created a grounding document to help ensure the coalition is able to help set the priorities for LCAT. This will help the board and the community hold LCAT accountable to working towards those priorities in those coming years. So we're going to have a presentation on this process. I'm going to kick off the presentation reminding community members how LCAT started and why we do strategic planning. Nina Gregerson, and Tyler Overling will take us through the bulk of the presentation as they participated in that process, and then I will end the presentation discussing what the next steps might be for LCAT moving forward based on the results of the strategic plan. Okay. So, just when you guys are presenting, you got to point that way because the computer's back there. So, Lodi Community Action Team started in 2007 as a way to address alcohol and prescription drug use by teens in the Lodi area. We had a group who rallied around the growing problem in the area with teens using prescription drugs. We started to educate communities on the dangers of risky behavior and really started to educate on how we can, as a community, create an environment that is safe for our kids. And if those of you around at that time, right, remember that people wouldn't go to the parks that we had because of what was going on in the parks that we have. It's hard for people who come to Lodi now to even think that that was that happened because it's just so different. In 2011, LCAT received a grant from the White House Office of Drug-Free Communities. The grant was awarded due to that we had a problem with teens using drugs and alcohol, and we had a group that was working to engage the community in this problem. And they worked with local municipalities, law enforcement, school district, and other organizations to educate the community and work together to create a healthy environment. So why strategic planning, right? And so most of you on the board have seen most of this stuff before, right? So this is a lot of organizations, right? We just tend to start going all over the place. Everybody thinks we're that middle person. We all think that's us going in the right direction. So the idea behind strategic planning is to align those arrows, right? So really work together, like what are our priorities? So we sat down with our the coalition and ask them some questions and walk through that process. And really, it's just to get those diverse opinions, experience, insights, talents, and energies to accomplish a goal. Magic can happen because we can figure out what's going on.
I like the picture.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that, sorry. So again, going back to your charge, this is what the board asked this group to do. Develop an event, culminate with a presentation to the Board of Education, which is happening right now. We engage the coalition members to inform the recommitment to or development of a vision and mission statement for the Lodi Community Action Team, and that will guide LCAT's decision-making for the next 5 years. So what are the priorities? So I'm gonna turn it over to you guys.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah, just, so, that moves it, yep. And you can just point them back to the black box.
Gotcha, thank you.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you so much, I'm really glad to be doing this. So these are this is everyone who was involved. You can see we got a big group of people all across the community, so this is really important to have, as it said in the.
Introduce yourself.
Sorry, I thought what you had done was
I should have, yeah, but
suffice.
you still.
I apologize.
No.
I'm Tyler Overling. I'm a senior at Lodi High School. I was lucky enough to be given the opportunity to be part of the coalition to give kind of a student perspective on the situation. Really glad to do it. This is a big part of the Lodi community, so I'm really happy to put that perspective in there. Anyhow, yeah. This is our group. And as said before, this is we had a lot of different people with different perspectives to kind of align those arrows. Sorry. I screwed up already.
One too many.
There we are. Okay, so this is just kind of showing everyone doing it. Very fun process. We had our little sheets of paper. We got a lot of brainstorming on different ideas, and we'll explain that in a second here. Another photo. Yeah, so here we are. This was kind of one of our prompts. So we kind of split it up into talking about the present, past, future, or different time periods. So this was present. So we have our mads, sads, and glads. When I think about LCAT, I'm mad about. When I think about LCAT, I'm sad about. When I think about LCAT, I'm glad about. So this is just kind of structuring those emotions so we can kind of see where everyone's minds are at, what everyone's opinions are, and then just kind of use those in a more constructive way. So these are kind of our general themes that we got. So under our MADs, we had a lack of community awareness and communication, limited engagement and outreach, challenges in classroom integration, substance access and prevention, and need for early prevention. Moving to SADS, limited community connection and support, challenges with repeat offenders, substance use trends and prevention gaps, funding struggles, and desire for student leadership and involvement. So these are kind of our more negative things, the things that we wanted to change for the better, things we wanted to move forward with. Looking more to our positives, our glads, smiley face. We were happy about the positive student impact and support, the community events and engagement, data-driven success and accountability, and effective prevention and education. So there, when you look at those previous ones, it seems like a lot, but the general consensus was that, we have a lot of positive action coming out of LCAT. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but that these other issues are things that, are funneling through these. So these are kind of where we want to keep our heads at. Next, we got, this is also present, I think the last one might have been meant to be passed, I'm not sure, but again, just another way to structure our ideas. So this was brag, worry, and bet. So when I brag about LCAT, I brag about blank. When I worry about LCAT, I worry about blank. If I were to bet on LCAT, I would bet on blank. So moving on to how we structured those, brag themes. We were happy about the youth support and empowerment, the community involvement and prevention, education and school integration, responsive and impactful programming, strong leadership, and collaboration. Looking towards our worry themes, sustainability and funding concerns, community awareness and engagement, impact and effectiveness, school and youth engagement, and then cultural and environmental challenges. And then looking to our bet themes, bet on the commitment to youth, the community and school involvement, sustainability and leadership, being a model for other communities, and then just being a prevention and resource hub in general. So now, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name's Nina Gregerson, and I'm here today as a community member, but I've been involved with LCAT for about 10 years now. Previously, it was in a professional capacity as a health education coordinator for public health, Madison and Dane County. We helped coordinate and staff the coalition, the Tobacco Free Coalition, that covered both Dane and Columbia County. However, in 2020, we split those counties up, and Park took over Columbia County, Dane County remained in Dane County. So some of the things I was involved in that capacity, I helped facilitate the FACT group that was in the high school from 2017 to 2019. So I got to work with a lot of young people who I still keep in contact to this day and are doing amazing things. And then I've just stayed involved in LCAT because I believe in its mission and all the great work that it does here, as well as in the county. Just a little bit about me. So another prompt here, the coalition was asked to focus on the future. So say that we're 5 years down the road, 2030, that's hard to think about. Describe how LCAT transformed to empower youth to live a healthy lifestyle. Oh, yep, this way. And here are some of the themes. Expanded programming and accessibility, youth empowerment and support, community involvement and partnerships, effective communication and education, and sustainable funding and operations. And a strong strategic emphasis on engaging our community, empowering our youth and community, elevating our youth and community through resources in intervention, and a need for sustainability. So the team really wanted to mirror what the district has in terms of pillars. And these are the 3 pillars that the coalition came up with. And you'll see it's the 3 E's. So engage, empower, elevate, with the descriptions underneath there. And then sustainability is a cross-cutting theme because we need that to keep doing the amazing work that we're doing. So in order to with those new pillars, with those new guiding principles, we had to revise the mission statement. So the revised mission statement is, the Lodi Community Action Team empowers our school and community to prevent youth substance use through education, environmental prevention strategies, and connections with caring adults. And then the team decided that we wanted to recommit to the vision statement. So the vision statement is a community where all youth are empowered to make healthy choices. So that's where we're at with strategic planning. So we're happy to answer any questions you may have about the process or the outcomes that we just presented.
And each board member has a copy of the strategic plan in front of them, because the type gets a little small to read from that distance. So questions or?
Thank you both for being here tonight. Yeah, that was a great presentation.
If no questions, then I'll take it to the next step. You'd like to stand up, because you guys missed it. So what does this mean for LCAT? And I think there's one thing we gotta talk a little bit about.
You have to stand up.
Wait, what? So prevention, I just need to talk about a couple things just to be clear, because we heard it mentioned PARC a couple times. So PARC is Prevention and Response Columbia County. And it was started by the LCAT Coalition. It initially involved out of the opioid crisis that was evolving at the alarming rate in our county. Park is supported exclusively by state and county grants. And the idea was Lodi is not an island, right? So there's all these great things that were going on in Lodi with LCAT, but right, there's other things that were going on in the county, and there wasn't support out in the county. So the people who were here at LCAT, I know our local police chief at the time, reached out to other police chiefs across the county, and they decided that, and some other health workers decided that they needed to bring this coalition together. So Park was created. So Lodi is one of the communities that's served by Park, because we're in Columbia County, and we're able to get our Narcan trainings through that, and a lot of our grant funding, last year we got a big grant funding that helped support LCAT, came through Park from the county. And just the difference is a little bit between Park and LCAT. Park can support the work of LCAT in our district because we are in Columbia County. LCAT can support the work of Park when they're working in our district. LCAT cannot support the work of Park outside the school district. So for example, I think last year we did some, Park did DITEP training out in Portage, right? That was Park doing that. And because there were some questions in our community like, why is LCAT in Portage? We're kind of really connected, right? It was our Park time. And Park is really the same, right? LCAT and Park are really meshed together. The same two people who are working through LCAT are working through Park. So it really, especially as we've chased grants, it has really meshed these two together closely. But as we look at our strategic plan, one of the things that we talked through, right, and we heard the themes that came through is engage, empower, and elevate. There was not a lot of talk in our strategic planning process about engaging the county, right, empowering the county, elevating students in the county. It was really talking about Lodi. So as I and our other administrative team and even our LCAT staff looked at this, we noticed, right, if you follow this, the priorities that are laid forth through the strategic planning process, it really looks at possibly decoupling Lodi Community Action Team and Park, which would develop, and then working on developing a scorecard like we do with our other strategic plan. We develop a scorecard for Lodi Community Action Team. But that would be just us working on LCAT. We wouldn't need 2 staff members to do that. We would need 1. So it would reduce a staff member. But the funding would be more from our taxpayers in Lodi, because right now we're getting grant funding through the county. So if we looked at funding it, we would be looking at approximately $50,000 through our community fund and $50,000 through our general fund, which is pretty similar to the request that was made in 22-23 school year. But that would be like really aligned to our strategic plan. The other model, and there's 3 models I see moving forward. A second model is that we continue with what we're doing. The district continues to fund LCAT in its present form, working with Park out into the county. We use the strategic plan as a guiding document when applying for grants. We understand, for example, that the largest grant right now is a county grant and requires 75% of the work that's being done with LCAT and Park be done in the county, not in Lodi. But we could develop a scorecard based on strategic plan, what we expect to be accomplished in Lodi. And I'm going to go through the pros and cons of all of these at the end. But just as a piece of information, right now LCAT funding source, almost 75% comes through the county. So it really should come to no surprise that nearly 75% of the work that these 2 people are doing is out in the county, right? Because that's what the funding is telling them to do. And again, when you do a grant, you have to, certain things you have to say you're going to do, and then you have to follow up and do them. You know, if you push it harder, it should work. One of the other options is eliminating LCAT, right? That's always the thing that's on the table. The board could decide not to continue its current funding model. Just chasing grants drives the work that's being done, not the strategic plan. If that happens, LCAT goes away, and that's really obviously not aligned to the strategic plan. So I kind of had one initially is like really aligned, the other one's kind of a little out of sync. This one is not aligned at all. But those are really the 3 options I see moving forward for the board to look at. And initially we talked about LCAT doing the strategic plan and then coming and back with the recommendation the following month. And I just felt it would be very difficult for the board to approve a strategic plan not knowing where it was going. So we brought them together. So if you look at the funding requests from the district, in 22-23, it was $91,000. It got reduced a little bit due to a grant. 23-24, it was $60,000. Last year, we got the big opioid grant and we had a tobacco grant. So I dropped it to $25,000. If we go with the request just on LCAT, just working with LCAT, the district funding in, it would be approximately $100,000. If we do current model that we're doing now, it's unknown what that'll cost year to year. So for example, one of the things that they're working on right now is our tobacco grants coming up. We got $50,000 through a tobacco grant. It's kind of one of the things that kickstarted this strategic planning process in the whole place, because they started talking about, well, if we're gonna get that tobacco grant, we might have to go up into Marquette County a little bit. I'm like, I think the board needs to know that that's what we're asking people to do because of that funding, and there's no guarantee that funding's coming, even if we say we're gonna do that. But if you lose that grant funding, for example, that $25,000 that we're doing this year now goes up to $75,000. And so that'll just depend year to year. The opioid money should be there from the county for a while. And then obviously if there's no request, if LCAT's eliminated, there's no request.
Can I ask why Marquette and not any of the others?
So what they're looking at,
Just
and
curious.
you guys can jump in if I'm wrong, but so my understanding is they're looking to expand their footprint into places that don't have support right now. So Park is in Columbia County.
Right.
Marquette County doesn't have a lot of prevention, so if you reach up into Marquette County a little bit, you're more likely to get that grant because there is no support there, right? If we went to Dane County has a very robust
Right.
system. We're working on building one in Columbia County, so they would have to expand into places where, because the people who have the money for tobacco grant are looking to expand into areas that don't have the support they need.
Because we touched 7 counties, that's why I was just curious why that one.
Dodge County would be the other one that
Okay.
does not have the services at this time.
Okay, yeah, I just pulled up the county map.
Yep.
So, just a reminder, again, going back to the charge, this is what our board asked this group to do. Develop an event, which is done, presentation, to inform a recommitment to or development of a vision and mission statement for the Lodi Community Action Team that will guide this LCAT's decision-making for the next 5 years. So that's that strategic plan. So, first thing that you're gonna be asked to do is approve the strategic plan that was put together. And so that would be a recommended motion. Secondly, they're gonna be asked how you wanna fund this, right? So do you wanna fund district funded, move to approve the district support LCAT through school-based funding? Grant district funding, move to support LCAT through combination of grant funding and school-based funding. And the last one is move to eliminate LCAT, would be the 3 options. Again, conversation I had, personnel committee, at the end of the personnel committee is like, this needs to be not year to year. This needs to be, we're doing this until we get to the next referendum, we're making decisions about the next referendum, what's in and what's out, what do we want to support and what's not. That's 2 years away. But it is not fair it's hard to plan year to year, and it's not fair to our staff to put them through this year to year because they have to think about livelihoods, healthcare, all those different things. So that would be my recommendation. So I put together some pros and cons, and then we have a discussion. So district funded, the pros are aligns with the strategic plan, provides more time in the Lodi schools, provides more service for the Lodi community, and we have a consistent funding source from year to year. The cons, it increases the cost to the district. It potentially eliminates Park, and we are not an island, which we've said many times. Potentially, again, same thing, ends prevention services in the county. Not for sure, right? The county has opioid money, what they would do with it, who would take that over, we don't know. And it would reduce staff. Grant funded pros, aligns with the model we currently have in place, which we've talked about, has been very successful. Ensures prevention activities are in the county, again, the island idea, and it's a decrease in cost to the district. The cons, it's not aligned as much as with the strategic plan, so less time in Lodi than the strategic plan calls for. Inconsistent funding from year to year, And then we have time spent chasing and reporting on grants versus prevention and community building activities. And then LCAT being eliminated, no cost to the district. There's the pro, cons, prevention efforts significantly diminish in Lodi and the county, loss of 2 staff members, and loss of educational opportunities for students and community. So, that is where we are.
So just as a little background, the Personnel Committee spent an hour and 20 minutes out of our hour and 30 minutes talking about this last Wednesday.
Yep.
We, mainly myself, asked a lot of questions. We all did. But Adam, Heather, and I, and Vince, and people here, did spend a lot of time discussing this not even a week ago. So just, there's a little bit of background there. For people that may or may not, on the board that may or may not have been aware of that.
And the recommendation from that committee was to bring it to the full board.
Yeah.
There wasn't a recommendation of approval or anything like that. They just recommended to bring the whole discussion to the full board.
To talk about it, so.
Thanks for that, Scott.
So breaking it up, how do you feel about the strategic plan at the board level? The charge, was it met? Is that what you thought it would be? I mean, I was part of it, so I saw the whole thing. But is that what you're thinking? Does that sound good?
I wasn't there for your strategic
No,
plan
that,
discussion.
but, oh, yeah.
And I don't know, I learned a lot at our personnel meeting last week about the interconnection between LCAT and Park. And one of the questions that I had was, well, if the district doesn't fund you any longer, can't you just chase grants to continue the work that you're doing? And what I learned was that, no, LCAT and Park needs the school district, Vince, you can correct or step in here as far as my language, but essentially not overseeing, but what's the word I'm looking for? They can't exist without the school.
Partnership.
It needs a fiscal agent. So it has to be a nonprofit. So either the county would have to step in, right, and take over Park, which I don't know if they would do. Personally, I'd be surprised, but that's absolutely something they could do. Or another nonprofit would have to, another school district. But it really has to have somebody who has the structures in place to do payroll, insurance, all those things, and to have the money going in and out of an organization that's audited and things of that nature, right? 2 people just can't go out and start getting grants, right? Because, you know.
So as I was saying, and thank you for helping me, I learned a lot about the way this is set up. And the question that I would have for the people that were part of that strategic plan was, did they have that same insight and that same knowledge? Because I get it, it's easy for the strategic plan to say, we just want LCAT in the school. But did that group of people realize all of the interconnections that there are to make this function? Because, well, I have more to say, but.
So one of the things that came out of the strategic plan, right, those 3 options came from the group that did the strategic planning didn't come up with those 3 options. The group that did the strategic planning came up with the strategic plan. Our administrative team, once we looked at the strategic plan, now how do you implement this, right? Because that's our charge, is then now you have to implement this. What does that look like? That's when you start looking at, well, if you look at this, the best way to implement this is just through LCAT. Can you implement it with LCAT and Park together? You can, right? But then it gets a little messier because you're doing things outside the strategic plan. And as you know, with our district, right, there's lots of things we can do. And to quote Derek Pertzborn, he says it all the time, we're really good at doing stuff. We are, right? We want to do stuff that's important and it's moving the needle in the right direction. So the group did not say, these are our 3 options.
Yeah.
Right, that was us coming in after. I shared those after.
So the group does their work, the administration does their work, and the board has to
Figure out how to make it
figure out a
happen.
marriage.
But to directly answer your question, yes, the group knew about Park and the interconnectivity and the possible pulling them apart. That was part of the discussion as well.
So, getting back to your question, Adam, I myself don't have any issue or concern about what the group brought forward and what I'm looking at on page, I think, 35, or basically the strategic plan, the wording of it. I think that's what you were asking, Adam.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any?
So do we have two things we need to decide on, the strategic plan
Yep.
and then the funding?
Yeah, so you have to approve the strategic plan or not
Okay.
approve the strategic plan.
So that's my concern. So let's say we approve that, and then we go with one of the options and then it doesn't align. So where does that leave us?
Yeah, so I would say if the thought is, that's why they're together, right? So if you're gonna eliminate LCAT, then there's no sense in approving a strategic plan. If you're gonna do one of the other two, then you can approve the strategic plan and we will try to make it fit into those models. The first one aligns much easier. The second one is, again, it'll still help guide the work that's being done, especially in Lodi.
Yeah.
But we didn't do strategic planning for Park, we did strategic planning for LCAT.
And I think, Heather, at least the way I look at it is I can argue maybe that to my way of reading it, an option B does align with the strategic plan. I don't think it's a matter of, the only one in my opinion that doesn't align with the strategic plan is if we vote, LCAT goes away.
Yeah.
But I don't view it as one aligns and one doesn't align, other than number 3. I think the first, personally, when I look at it, I think 1 and 2 align.
So do we need to decide then and vote on the funding before we vote on the strategic plan?
Yeah, I feel like we have to vote on one of the
I think we have to vote on the
options.
funding first.
Yeah.
Only if you're gonna propose not funding LCAT.
So that's what Scott is saying, that he thinks. I don't know if this is a hard question, like, I'm assuming option 3 you guys don't want.
None of us do,
But,
no.
yeah, I
I don't think anybody
mean,
wants that.
personally, yes, I don't either, so, but what do you guys think of those two options? Like, is it better to separate Park, or is it better to keep them intertwined? And like, I mean, you guys are the ones doing all the work, so for me to sit up here and be like,
Do this.
It's a tough that's
yeah, that's
a
what I was
tough
gonna say, I
question.
don't even know if you could
And, I mean,
answer.
looking at the pros and cons, I see pros and cons for both. So I don't know how to.
No, that's fine, I kind of
But,
assumed, but I
again,
wanted to know if you
I'm
had
glad-
like,
I'm glad Vince added that to this presentation because it is a lot to think about.
yes.
There's pros and cons.
I
for
feel like
each
pulling
one.
my hair out, I
Sarah,
don't know if anyone else does, but.
I don't mind starting here.
Well, wait, I have a question. So when did Park begin?
Yep,
Yeah.
in 2015.
Okay.
And so.
that came about,
It came about because, so things were going good down here with LCAT, and Scott Klicko was the police
Yep.
chief in town at the time. And he said, Lodi's not an island, and there's a lot of bad stuff going on throughout Columbia County. So we need to do something to help everybody out. So that's when he got a hold of other people from the county, from all over Columbia County, and that's how Park was born out of that. So I wasn't there at the time, but that's historically what I have been, told.
He knows
It's here, yeah.
Sarah, does that answer your question?
I'm just still confused on the two. Because from what I remember, who was here with you? Paula. From what I remember, Paula's, basically, all the time Paula spent was, not all the time, but the majority of her time was finding the grants, finding funding,
No grant, one grant.
or any other, I mean, there was, but
some
there were
tiny
smaller
things.
ones though, too.
Tiny.
And then reporting on those, making sure things are, so the majority of it was sort of administrative for the funding that came outside of the outside of the
From
school
the federal
district.
government, from the federal.
Right. So really, what,
Can you go back to the slide with their time on it? Because I think it'll help you understand.
well, no, but it's just stuck in my brain that Paula's job, basically, the majority of it was
Which is-
finding the grants,
Which is
doing all
what
that.
Brian's doing right now.
Which was what
That's what
Brian's
he's doing
doing
right now.
That's why he can't get into school doing things so much.
Because he's
Right,
doing
but
that
Brian's
job.
doing the teaching.
He is
that in-
trying to do the
Right, but he's
teaching in
trying to do
addition to
both.
that, yes.
So Sarah, you're absolutely correct. So I took over Paula's
How
job
about
as,
it, do it.
as director.
Right, right.
And that, everything you said is very accurate, but then I also, because she was only part-time, so I'm full-time, so.
Right, no,
so
I get that.
Yep, so I
That one right
have
there.
some opportunity to teach in Lodi. I don't do anything out in the county as far as teaching, that would be my coordinator here, Sarah. So,
So Sarah, maybe this.
So everything you said
If you
was-
look
yep.
at that.
No,
this is
and I
current.
get
No,
that.
this is current, and I'll
Yeah,
compare it to the previous.
okay.
So we have green and blue on there.
Right.
Right? Previously, we had blue and blue. It was all blue.
Right.
Because the federal grant said, spend the money in this area here, in this area,
In Lodi.
in Lodi. Don't go to the rest of the county and spend the money. That's what that 10-year federal grant
I-
did.
But now
I
they're saying
understand
that's
that
on.
part though too, but I just, like I said, I just remember Paula presenting,
Yeah.
and
But
that
it
was
was-
her,
but
that
it
was
was
her
all
job to get that
blue.
money to
Right.
fund LCAT.
Right, to report on it and keep it going and all that stuff, yes.
Right.
But the grant she got
That was federal money for this
Lodi.
area here, us.
And that ran out
For our
after
district.
10
And that
years.
ran out, and now we've switched to this.
And
When did
allow
that
it
run out?
3 years ago?
Yeah, 3 years.
21.
21.
21.
And so now we've switched to a lot of time in the county and much smaller time in the district.
And unfortunately, that federal grant, we cannot reapply for.
No,
again.
it's a one and
It's
done.
just a one-time deal.
Sarah, this helped me during our meeting too. There's a columns up there that talk about what LCAT has cost the district.
Right.
What I learned at our last meeting was that currently the cost of LCAT for 1 year is roughly $210,000.
The total cost.
Total cost. To these two.
For LCAT and Park.
LCAT and Park. I use, yes. When I use LCAT, it's
Both of them.
both, understand that.
But there is-
200, there are some, I get that. $210,000.
Yeah.
Right? Right now, this year, Lodi School District has paid $25,000 of that.
Right.
So
And
the
they
school
have
district
gotten-
hasn't paid any. It's
What?
The school
Well-
district hasn't, the community has,
Through,
through the school,
through,
but it's coming from the community.
it's coming through taxpayers
Right.
and the
It's coming out of
community
the-
Because it
funding the
kind of
school
coming out of
district. It's a
Fund
fund
80?
Right.
under the
Okay,
school
yeah, yeah,
district
it's coming out of
so
Fund
that
80, I get
We
that.
determine how it's spent.
Right, so it's
The
coming out of Fund
is
80.
for community spending.
Right. The 25,000 is
So
coming out of
that's-
Fund 80 because of that.
Because of the work
Just
that
give them
they've
a
done with the
calculator.
grants that they've obtained.
Right.
So when I looked at the blue and the green, I'm looking at that going, I'm okay with that. Brian's getting into the school. He's doing the programs that Terry talked about in her report tonight, the in-depth.
And Prime for Life.
Prime.
Yeah, those are the ones I was talking about that I knew you did.
There's the green and the blue, but the district through Fund 80 is basically funded 12% of LCAT Park, which means I understand that they have to be out in the community in Columbia County, and if, depending upon what funding model we determine, may require them to travel outside of
So we're
community.
getting what we pay for, is basically.
I guess that's a good way to sum it up.
The 25,000 is only for the school district, for their time in the school district.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what that's.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
The rest
obviously,
of the money.
if we put
Right,
more
no,
money
yeah, I
into
get
it,
that.
we're gonna
There's
get more.
money from those green grants also supplying time for them in our district. So it's not just the 25,000 that makes up all that blue. Some of the green grant money is also coming back to our district.
Can I ask a question? I'm just wondering,
with the fact that you guys are having to develop these programs and carry them out and write grants, like, how sustainable, because we're using that word on this plan here, like, how sustainable is that going forward if things don't, like, if there's not a change to the way you guys are funded? Like, do you really have the time to do these things, or is it like not really, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I thought that question might be asked tonight, so I thought about my day today, my work day, and I spent about 6 hours doing administrative stuff. The billing needs to be done here on the 15th for the opioid grant, and that takes a lot of time. I spent lots of time working on that today. I spent about 2 hours on LCAT stuff. I did teach the Prime for Life class today to some students during intervention time, and there was some prep work involved in that, and I had some other stuff on Narcan I was working on today, but, so.
Yeah. So it's maybe not always like very balanced, it sounds
No,
like.
it's
So 6
very,
hours was green today?
What's that?
6 hours was in the green column today.
That was,
Or gray or whatever it was,
Yeah.
not the blue,
Green.
not the Lodi
Not
blue.
blue.
Well,
Yeah.
so that was kind of my point though with why I brought up Paula is then if all that time is going towards all of that, why?
Because that's how grants work.
Well,
Because that's what it requires.
so what benefit is coming from that with all that time? What benefit of the schools in the district, what are they getting out of all of that? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I do.
Very
So
much so.
in the old federal grant, you had 1.5 people under that. You had 1.5 positions, or was 1 3/4, something like 1.5, yeah. And so you got, minus that grant time, all of that other time in our district, in our school district.
You got one person out of 1.5 or 1 1/3,
Sure.
2/3 or whatever it
Yeah.
was.
And then
Because
we
that's
went-
all that person did was,
In 2022, 2023, that stayed. And then it dropped a little bit because they got an outside grant to 74. And then the following year, it dropped a lot, down to 60, and then down to 25. Because those outside grants kept coming in.
and what was the $74,000 grant again?
It was 70.
Reduced, it was.
Oh, reduced to
20,
75, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
it
I'm
was
sorry.
reduced to like
Oh,
20,000.
oh, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think that was a tobacco grant.
Is there any Sure. Is there any possibility of getting a grant from the county through the opioid distribution specifically for us?
I think it has to be serving all of Columbia County.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but I think it has to be a county group, so it can't be just for Lodi, it has to be,
And then
you know, that's why
part of
Park,
that
that's why
can be
Park
spent
can
here.
apply for that. So when Park applies for that opioid money, that comes back to Lodi because, for instance, like Vince had indicated, like, that's how I'm paid when I'm doing Narcan trainings. That's how we get our Narcan for the school buildings and things like that. So it's coming back around that way, but for us just to apply as LCAT, I don't think we would qualify.
So I'm gonna check into that,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
No, please
Because
do.
I know people on that,
Please do.
I know
Please do,
people on
because
that
we're,
opioid committee. Do you wanna go next?
I would ask that members of the board go to that page 37 under that district funded and really look at that cons list. So this is option 1. Cost to the district goes up. I am concerned that park goes away. I talked about this at a personnel committee meeting last week, that Lodi, and this has been alluded to a number of times tonight, Lodi is not its own little island. What happens in communities around Lodi impacts Lodi. And that's what, my understanding, what Park is tasked with is going out to these other communities to do the work that you're doing here as well. And that last one, without option 2, one of them goes away.
more than likely.
So if,
Well, I don't know how you can say more than likely. One of them goes away with option one of them goes away. Option two, both of them go away.
You mean option three?
Option three.
Option three, both go
Option
away.
one goes away. Option three, two go away. Option two, they both stay. Cost less to the district. We continue to get Brian in the school, providing the services that he's providing. We get them providing the services to the rest of the county. I just think, to me, it's option two. And I believe that when I read the strategic plan that was come up with by the group, that option two can meet that strategic plan.
So before you go,
Yeah.
I will make a motion, but I'm gonna let these guys finish.
so Tyler, can I ask you a question? Can I put you on the spot a little bit? I know you can handle it. All right. So this strategic plan is all about students and empowering students. And I think that there's some of that going on now through LCAT, and there has been over the decade and a half. But I think that this would really push that forward a lot. And would you agree that maybe a student group coming together and advising LCAT and working directly with LCAT would be a way to go forward
Yeah,
through this plan?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what we talked about, one of the big things was having, one of the big parts of LCAT is the sense of community, and having that as a, with this being like a drug prevention thing, that being a method of prevention. And so having something where the students are directly involved and they're part of that group, they're making decisions, they're helping out, that furthers that even more, and that builds that community to the point where that is, prevention method, and that makes it even stronger. So, yeah.
So with your current time, both of you, right, putting together a student group of middle school and high school students and then spending time with them on a regular basis to get that feedback and get them saying what's good about the program, what's bad about the program, what they need, right? Because it's about them. Would you have time to do that on the number two?
It'd be difficult.
Because it's just not
Putting
enough time.
them together might be easy, but doing it with, fidelity, yeah, I don't know.
so the biggest thing in my brain right now, I feel like if we do option two, so everything stays like it does. We talked about at personnel committee as possibly you trying to get into the younger grades to start talking about all of this stuff before they even see it. That you probably wouldn't have time for though, right? So like, I don't want Park to go away, but I also want you in our schools more. I just want both best of both worlds basically, but so we would be sacrificing some of that, right?
Something would have to give it somewhere. I don't know, Heather, I'd really have to sit down and think about it to figure out what would have to give.
Yeah.
So, and a reminder, part of it is, it's funded through right now through Fund 80.
Mm-hmm.
So that's out in the community, so that time has to be community time, that can't be in the school. The time
No,
in
but
the
it's
school
our
is through,
community. It's our school district.
right, but it has to be through grant funding.
Right.
Right, if it's coming through Fund 80,
No,
through the
right.
community fund, it can't be working in our school district.
So if it's
During the
all-
regular school day, it has to be out, so that's the work they're doing, connecting out the community, building partnerships, reaching out and developing these things after school.
Right.
And, combining with Park, if they're working in our school district, that's coming through the grants, tobacco
Right.
grant or the other grant.
But the reason I'm trying to go there is because I'm trying to get a combo of 1 and 2 put together, right? So another option, that would be combining 1 and 2 to some extent. So some of 1 and some of 2, so that we keep Park, or we keep LCAT, but we get Brian in the schools more.
Yeah, you have to fund some of that out of Fund 10.
That's what I'm
Okay,
saying,
so
yes.
it can't be all, so if it's all out of Fund 80, like you can't come into our schools anymore.
Correct.
On that time.
And I know Mr. Richter could probably explain a little easier, but some of the smaller grants we put into Fund 10, so I can have the ability to go in and teach the students. So currently, it's not all out of Fund 80, but there is a portion that we figured what my time would be, so that it could get me in this school.
So then the question to you both would be, what about an option where you combine 1 and 2, and we find some way to put a little more Fund 10 in there, but keep Park going, right? Keep all those grants and give you more time. Does that you are
Look
already full of time now. So shifting something, does that mean getting rid of one of the grants? Does that mean
That's what I was
scaling
kind of
back on one
wondering,
of the
like
grants a little?
if we don't fully fund it, but we give a little bit more money over the 25,000 maybe that we're doing now, not, I mean, I don't.
From the
not-
general, instead
Yeah, I'm
of
not
from
saying an
community.
amount. Would that eliminate some of that grant writing, and then you could possibly get in there
Have more
It
time.
may, and as Vince indicated earlier, this tobacco grant, we're going to apply for it, but we will not know if we're going to be getting the tobacco grant until March of next year. It's just the way that the grant falls. The grant would start up on July 1st. It's, or, you know, it's a weird one, so,
Yeah,
so, yeah, you know, maybe, I don't, you know,
yeah.
maybe we won't get that one, and we're gonna try really hard, but,
Mhm.
you know. What?
Can I just share?
Yes,
Yes, please, please
So
do.
just, when I was facilitating the FACT group, at the high school, they actually like kind of served as that like youth connection to LCAT. And it was pretty incredible to see how they helped influence the work that LCAT did. They went and spoke at legislative hearings. They did the tobacco compliance checks. So I have some hope that if they do apply for a tobacco grant that's multi-jurisdictional, that they'll get it because they have the systems in place to make it successful. And that would allow them to potentially get a FACT group started again at the high school or middle school or both. And then that could kind of serve as that youth voice for LCAT.
And that's great, but that's tobacco only, right? So the group I'm talking about,
Sure,
student
it-
group would be
nope, it-
all of LCAT.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally, and you can form that, it doesn't, a subset, so we were, what was FACT under?
Leadership Council?
Yes, so FACT was like a subgroup of leadership council, so you could do something like that where you have a youth group and it could be a leadership group or whatever, and then a subset could be working on that
Got it,
tobacco one.
makes sense, yeah.
And LCAT played a bigger role in our leadership council
Yeah.
Right.
because, again, the school district, the grant funding was just for our school district, so they could spend time with our leadership council, do the post-game parties that we have. LCAT started the leadership retreat. They were there helping provide food and doing leadership opportunities with our kids. In the past, LCAT's had to pull away from that
Right.
due to where their funding is at now.
I mean, that was another reason you called for the strategic plan thing, was because LCAT was pulling away more and more and
Well,
more.
they're going all over,
Right.
right? And I want to make sure we're kind of to align, because it's hard to hold, right? Because then people get frustrated with LCAP, because, well, they're not doing what we want them to do. Well, what are you asking them to do, right? So you need to be clear up front. Like, these are the goals, like here, they've kind of given some priorities, these are some things we want you to work on. And then we can put together, as we do for our other buildings, a scorecard, and kind of say, well, these are what we're going to work on, these are the goals, we're going to work forward.
So I have a question that, and then Brian, you had your mouth kind of open. Did you have something you wanted to say? 'Cause you were,
No, I was just yawning. No.
you were in awe of her? Well, I was kind of wondering, and I wasn't in the personnel or finance or whatever, but has there ever been any thought of outsourcing the grant writing and paperwork to CISA? I mean, is that anything they would ever do?
That I don't know, and I just, you know, we're always worried about cost, and we're always
No, I
thinking
know,
about cost,
I know.
and I know
I
that
know.
would cost,
That
so-
would be taking something away from you that you were doing that then you would have more time to do, but.
But then that would cost.
Is that
Cost
something
for
CISA
cost.
would do?
Well, I don't know. Wait,
What
nobody
do you,
asked.
what's your opinion on it? Is that something CISA would hold on to?
I
Or
don't,
would
they
they
might,
drop it on
right,
us?
they might just hold it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Is that under their umbrella? Is that something that, you know, they would fit? Because they do these certain things.
Right.
I think that's how we initially got LCAT in the first place, right? It came through CISA, then it came down to Lodi, and Lodi took
And
it
we just
over.
ended up getting that paper.
The concern, again, I think realistically, right, if you're going to outsource somebody to write the grants, you have to pay someone to do that.
Right,
Right, so now you are, again, reducing one of these two people
right.
to have somebody else do that, unless they're bringing in
Throw it out.
funding.
Yep.
I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
we're not
Sarah
Peter to
Sarah
fight
has a
Paul.
question, then I have.
I have a question,
Sarah.
like, related to what Terry just asked, was, so, forgive me if this is like something I should know, but does LCAT actually have like a formal board? Its own board of directors, or?
Coalition. Have a
It's a
coalition.
okay, it's the coalition. And I know this is would not create a sustainable, system, but could there be, is there anyone maybe in that coalition that would be willing to help write grants on a volunteer basis? That was something that kept coming to my mind, so that it wouldn't cost extra. And the other thing, kind of, this idea of maybe having what I'm envisioning sort of as like maybe a student advocacy kind of group, I think is a really great idea, because, I think we all know high school students in particular, they're embarrassed often to be the kid that's not doing these things, even if they don't want to be doing them. And I think seeing more and more of their peers, in different places and outwardly stating that they're not, it's okay, like, to not do these things, and you could still be cool, you could, so I just think that's really important too. It doesn't address the funding issue, but.
No, but I think it goes even younger into Mr. Pertzborn's school.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
That's where
you're
that
right.
goes. So my question is directly to Mr. Richter. So did you say some of the grants, or somebody said some of the grants go into Fund 10? How does that happen, and is that okay? And, I mean,
I do it accounting wise, it's totally fine, it works, it's completely legal. Accounting wise, more appropriate is the right word.
but because I know the Fund 80 and I know the Fund 10, so shouldn't all that grant money be going into Fund 80?
It could go there, it could be placed there, there is not like a rule against that, but we can place it in Fund 10, it's a pass-through. So Fund 10 opens up the ability for these two to be
come into the
inside
schools.
the school.
Inside the school.
During the school day.
Right.
So why not put it all in Fund 10?
So we could, but, so the 25,000 is Fund 80, that's how we're funding, right? And the other parts have, just as you said earlier, they have restrictions on where they're gonna go. So I think we've maximized our Fund 10 ability, basically.
Or Scott, are you saying if we're just talking LCAT and not park, or both?
And Scott, so just so that we're on the same page, like, we wouldn't put park in Fund 10, right? That is completely community. There's no place for Fund 10.
Okay, so that has to go into Fund 80.
Unless there's a specific Lodi piece that is written into the grant that could go into Fund 10.
Right, so Scott, are you saying LCAT alone, not park? LCAT alone gets funded by Fund 10?
Why not put as much as can into Fund 10, so that you can use Fund 10, that the district can use Fund 10 to fund LCAT/park, which allows them to be in the school more, instead of using Fund 80.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing.
Just to kind of move things along, I'm going to make a motion to support LCAT through a combination of grant funding and school-based funding for a period of 3 years, not to exceed, it's $25,000 this year, not to exceed $50,000 per year.
I'll second that.
Can you,
Motion by,
Want me to repeat?
yeah, can you repeat it, please?
yeah, I was like, oh yeah, this is my job.
Make a motion to support LCAT through a combination of grant funding and school-based funding, i.e. option 2, for a period of 3 years, with a cost not to exceed the school district, with a cost not to exceed $50,000 to the school district of Lodi
Per year?
per year.
Okay.
Does it need to say where that $50,000 is coming
Still
from?
seconding that? Okay.
No, he was just repeating it
Per
because
year.
It should.
It should say if it's coming out of Fund 10
So
or
it needs
Fund
to
80.
say,
Which one are you gonna do?
which fund is it gonna come out of? Fund 10 or Fund 80?
I would do 50 or 25 out of Fund 10 and 25 out of Fund 80, unless we can do it all out of Fund 10.
You can? Yep.
If you do it all out of Fund 10, that puts them in the schools a lot more.
That would be nice.
Then do it, then I'll amend what I said and $50,000 out of Fund 10.
And can I ask that you put a start year on it, if it's gonna start this year or next, because we've already levied, obviously, and you've already
This
approved
year.
the budget.
Yeah, this
so
is
then
for the
you would-
25-26 school year, starting 25-26, because this year's already approved. The board approved this last year.
You can, but you could revise at this point, if you want to revise.
The intent of my motion is to start when we're done with what we're doing right now. So we'll start.
The
Start
25-26 school year?
25-26, not
25-26.
replace what we're currently doing. Just leave alone what we're doing right now. This applies.
Motion by Scott, second by Teresa.
Wait,
More discussion.
What's the, I was gonna say, is it to fund LCAT,
It's the fund.
both?
Well, Park is part of LCAT now, and they're.
LCAT
together.
and Park.
It's leaving it as it is now.
Leaving it as is.
And then
But the
in
district's
25,
getting more money, is basically what it comes down to.
Increased funding, same
Yes.
model.
District gives more, so we
Which
give
I was
them
kind
more.
of pointing at.
And can this be
But it
amended
only,
in a year
it's
or two,
up,
or are we locked in?
it's
3
up
years.
to that amount if they need it. Ideally, if you get your grants and it costs the district $20,000 next year, then $20,000. We just have to put what
So
the
if it,
district will allow up to spending. That's why I put that on there.
So
That
if
was
it's-
part of our discussion at the Personnel Committee.
so if it's coming out of just Fund 10, that's okay with Park being involved still? That doesn't,
Again, so.
Will that take away, will that take away like National Night Out and community, no?
You can still do
Okay.
things in the community through
Okay.
Fund 10.
Okay, great.
But once it's
Okay.
in Fund 80, you can only do things in the community.
Okay.
this is giving us more options,
Flexibility,
right?
it gives you
Okay.
much more flexibility.
Thank you for clarifying, I just was
Okay.
concerned about
Yeah,
that too,
don't
so.
want that to go away.
Right, right.
That would give you enough time to do a student interactive group and get advisement from them, spend time in the schools, and keep Park going. And it sounds like a great solution to keep everything going for the next 3 years, so.
3 years. 3 years too, not
Yeah.
a yearly.
Does Scott need to amend his motion again to say, starting with the 25-26 school year?
Well, so that's
For
my
3
question,
years.
is when does that start? Does that start in July 1st?
You can absolutely revise this budget at this point in time and say it's 24-25 school year start.
Right.
Or you can start next fiscal year, 25-26,
Which starts when? July.
July 1.
July.
Right, so you're
What-
talking
what's
either
easier for-
previous September,
It's what you
amending it
want.
back.
You're revising the budget every single board meeting
Right.
for me. So if you want to start it this year and then get them in the schools more this particular school year, you can do that right now with the motion.
Is that,
We have a cost of what LCAT is costing the district this year of $25,000.
from Fund 80?
So at 25,000 would now. give
I
you-
just want to leave that alone. That's my motion. It can get voted down and you guys can,
So yours is to start 25-26.
yeah, I mean, I guess in my mind, that's always what my assumption has been we're talking about. LCAT has their funding in place through the school year. I'm coming at this from,
Which actually is kind of
because
giving you
with
even more
the time, again, I
Right.
put
Yeah.
that 3 years on it,
Yes.
right? We don't want the 3 years to stop in the middle of
No,
a
I-
school
Right.
year.
If you don't mind me as the current acting business manager for a couple more months,
You just love reminding us that.
you did just have a $1.9 million fund balance surplus to the last year. So you are in a very good financial position at this point in time, should you want to act on this particular school year. You're in a very good position.
But we've got that three-phase.
I'm not changing anything that I said. I understand we're in a good position, but that doesn't mean we have to spend it all now.
So as part of the discussion, would you guys feel better at a June 1st start on that?
I'd feel better at 25-26, what Scott
Yeah,
said.
okay, all right, so it's June 1st then.
Yeah.
All right, okay. And we need you, so.
So
chime
Mo,
in.
what's the official motion?
Motion, Bill C., second by Valencia, to move to support LCAT through a combination of grant funding and school-based funding for 3 years, not to exceed $50,000 per year by the school district using Fund 10, starting 2025-26 school year.
Is that your motion, Scott, that you were thinking?
I didn't do it quite as clean as that, but that's something.
But she got your point.
Got around to,
yes.
and that was the intent. And I
Okay.
didn't even have the idea of which fund, but to Adam's point and what Adam is looking for, apparently maybe arrived at it accidentally, but this
I love the
kind of allows
combination.
for
Yeah.
what you want to see. And what I was grilling you guys on at the personnel committee about, what are you doing in the schools?
Right.
Until I, understood more about what all your other responsibilities are, so.
That'll give that flexibility.
I just want to make sure this gives them more time in the schools.
That's what it's for.
This gives
This
them
is-
more time in the schools.
And park stays.
And Parks stays.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Did you
Anyone?
get a second? You did?
Yes.
Yeah, I was-
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Yay. Motion passes 7-0.
So
Took
then-
us a while, but
How
hey.
about, how about this then? How about
Yes, we
we,
need
Oh.
to, the strategic
we
plan.
move to approve the recommendation of the strategic planning team and adopt the mission statement, vision statement, and the strategic plan to guide Lodi Community Action Team's decision-making for the next 5 years.
You forgot the word beautiful. Beautiful strategic plan.
Before I second that, does it have to be 5 or does it need to be 3?
Well, this is their, it doesn't matter.
It's just their
It doesn't
strategic
matter.
plan.
It's the strategic.
Give them
plan.
5 years to
Okay.
accomplish.
Oh, I see.
Do you see what I'm saying? Because
We do, but I don't think that matters.
No, I would go for
We're not
that.
gonna redo it in a year.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
five-year
no, I was
strategic
just
plan.
thinking because of.
Yeah, so I don't
how
know if we even need.
Because of the funding. The
We're
only
not
reason-
going back
I'll
to make a
second
new
that.
strategic.
I'll second it.
Motion by Terry, second by Sarah Ramish. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Great discussion, board.
Hallelujah.
I liked that.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you for being
Thank
here
you.
and sitting and hearing
You know
us
what?
talk.
Thank you
and
for all.
Great
your work.
And Tyler,
presentation.
thank you so much for
Great
presenting.
job.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tyler, you can present anytime you want.
Yes.
You guys are more than welcome to stay.
That was amazing. Yes.
Or you're more than welcome to.
We just, I'm really proud of us, you guys. That was a great discussion.
It was a good discussion.
Oh, thank you.
Don't you love that little laugh? Devious.
Sorry. I love that little laugh.
I know, kind of devious.
You haven't heard all your life.
I hear it at least once a year.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think you've been in this.
I said at least once a year.
All right, let's move on.
That's hilarious.
Your night.
Thank you.
See you.
HVAC control upgrades
Oh, good. We didn't-
for our elementary and OSC.
That should be easy, right?
Sure. Wait, Scott, how long did we spend talking about this one in the facility?
Yeah, but you did your city work, so then we don't.
Maybe you
have
weren't
to.
there, maybe it
No,
was
it
you.
was me.
It was you and Sarah. That's right,
So,
sorry.
you guys.
We spent like an hour and a half talking about this one.
Oh, HVAC. HVAC controllers are failing at the Lodi Elementary School OSC. We're working through why they are failing, but currently we are trying to run the building manually, which obviously as it gets colder and colder is going to get worse and worse. So we have to get them taken care of. There's just no question about it. We discussed it at the Facility and Finance Committee meeting. They unanimously moved it to the full board. The recommendation for approval, the committee did ask the district to go back and have further discussions with contractors to try to do an apples comparison to the bids. So in reviewing the bids further, we found out, the information that we found was North American Mechanical initially bid this as night work. So they were looking at coming at night because they didn't want to interrupt with school's going on, so it totally makes sense. But that obviously inflated their price significantly.
Yeah.
If we move forward with NAMI, one of the advantages of that is it would place 3 of our 5 buildings, counting this as one of our buildings, would have the same controllers. Since I've been in Lodi, that has been a source of frustration for every single building grounds person we've had, because we've had different controllers in every building, and trying to figure that out.
They have to learn all of those
Yep,
different.
and then work with different companies. NAMI will also be using all new equipment, new controllers, components, those pieces. We also looked at the other option. The other options weren't all new, right? They were using some of the one of them was a lesser product, and the other one was they weren't going to use everything was not going to be brand new. They're going to use some of the existing components, which made it cheaper, but also left a little risk there. So the recommendation from, again, the administration and our building and ground is to go with NAMI. It aligns 3 of our buildings.
And it's all new.
And it will be all new. And we have great service with them, so they are a little higher. But the cost over the course of the years will be a lot less, actually, because we'll help with the maintenance and things of that nature, and those systems will last longer.
I just out of curiosity, what is EcoStructure?
It's the name of the software.
Oh, okay, so it's nothing like,
Nothing spectacular.
okay.
And when would this be done?
ASAP.
Oh, okay. And we're gonna do this building too then?
Well, that's another motion.
So that's the other piece of it.
Okay.
So one of the things Neil did was, like, since we have 3 of our 4 buildings, he said, what would it take, if you're gonna be on site anyhow, what would it cost to do this building? And update it. They're not in need right now, but they're 7 or 8 years old. If we do it simultaneously, they would do that for another $18,000. If they have to come back and do it whenever the controllers are done, if they were coming back at a different time, it would be $30,000. So it'd be significantly cheaper now, but we also don't have to spend that money now. So that is up to the board.
Or down the
As
road
Brent
even,
says,
or,
we do have that money
and,
now.
or down the road even higher than.
Right, at some point, but you just
Yeah.
don't know when that's going to be, right? So it's
Adam,
not
you're gonna get.
something you have to do. But we,
I'm gonna make a motion.
we have to do them over there.
Yeah.
Can I combine them?
Sure, ma'am, you can do whatever you like.
I will make a motion to accept the NAMI bid for LES OSC building controls of $94,140 and to accept the NAMI bid for the district office building controls for $18,180.
I'll second that.
Motion by Sarah Ramus, second by Sarah Rip. Any more discussion?
Do we still have funding coming in from insurance on this?
So they're still in the middle of the investigation.
Right.
We don't know the answer to
Okay.
that.
There's a possibility that that may be funded through
That's correct. And insurance might
the error of the roofs.
Second, potential motion to do this building, something that you guys on the Facility and Finance Committee were aware of and discussed? Or has this come to light since your recommendation to just do the school over there?
This is coming like since.
Second.
So you guys didn't discuss this second part?
No, that was a further, when they dug in further with NAMI and all the 3 bids, because we asked them to do bids on the elementary school OSC. And then the committee asked, like, after we went and looked at, before we wanted to discuss bids, we wanted to take them to the committee. And then once they got them there, we went back in and
I
had
think it
discussions about
makes
bids.
sense, even though they're not technically due, it's a significant cost savings, and then thinking forward, did you say that they have to be redone like every decade, potentially?
So we just did the middle
Keeps everything
school,
in
right?
line moving
We're
forward.
doing the
with
high
it.
school, and then this will be done, and primary is new. So we should be done with HVAC for a while.
For 10 years. If we're
No, high
Controllers.
school's left. No, what's
High
We have
left?
some,
school
we have
is-
some high school left. High school, we're
Some
doing-
high school
Yeah.
left.
We're just doing software at the high school.
High school, yeah.
We're just doing software at the high school.
Can I ask how the primary school got built without the same system?
It was a bid process, just like everything else. That's
Just
how,
been
that's
really
how
curious
all
about
the
that.
buildings had different ones, right? Whatever came in cheaper,
So
and
primary
right,
will
so
be the only one without NAMI
Right.
then?
it's just one of those things. It's just like almost every decision, you get back and you, like, why? A board just like this sat down and tried to figure out what best way to stretch that dollar and help the taxpayer. So it absolutely made sense to do it that way. You get it.
Yeah.
Every board's in different, you're all in difficult spots. One with 10 years ago, they were in difficult positions making decisions too. So,
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Wasn't that easy, Ed? You were expecting
No, I was not
lots of
expecting.
conversation out of me, weren't you?
Our safety drill report.
Yeah, so as required under Act 143, the school must conduct safety drills, prepare an evaluation report, and submit to the Board of Education for review. So the required evaluation reports have been submitted for all of our school buildings, so I'd recommend approval.
I will make a motion to approve the building school safety drill evaluation reports as presented.
And I'll second that.
Motion by Sarah Ramish, second by Terry. Sorry, I couldn't find you on my list. I knew your name. Any more discussion? I guess I just have a question. Is it, I know some of these, I was just looking through them. Some you tell the parents, some you don't, some you tell the kids beforehand. Is it, I just up to you guys? Or is there
Exactly
like,
the same thing.
yeah, is there like a protocol or is it just up to you principals that says, oh?
So with the evacuation drill, we always send a letter to our parents right after the evacuation drill. We don't necessarily want to make that public knowledge.
Okay,
As far as all of our Alice protocols, we do send a letter at the beginning of the school year to let them know that we're gonna be talking about these things. That's what we do at the high school. We don't get into the specifics about each of the drills,
okay.
but we do just send a general letter talking about Alice and some of the things that we do.
And
that's-
then when you don't tell the parents, do the kids know it's a drill or do they think it's real and then
No,
later?
they're very aware it's a drill.
Oh, okay.
We, in our first presentation to all of our students, we talk about when the drills are gonna happen, what it's gonna
Okay.
look like, and then we perform those, so.
Okay,
We always tell the parents right after. It may not have been noted in every drill, but every school, right after the drills happen, let parents know. We don't publicize it because all of our students are gonna be outside of our school building,
And that
walking
would
to a different
not be
building.
safe.
So now it's not a safe drill. We don't let everybody know that that's happening right
Yeah.
now. But then we let them know after it happens, before their kids get home.
I think it was
And we make sure kids know that it's a drill.
the middle school, were parents notified prior to the drill? No. Were students notified prior to the drill? No.
No,
Is
there-
that
we don't, we notify
incorrect?
only kids that we feel it's necessary for their safety, if we have a concern about that kid. But while we're doing an announcement that we're evacuating, we say this is only a drill, like that's the first thing we're going to say.
okay, so they know it's not, but then.
As it's being announced, they know.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is what you're saying,
Okay,
yeah.
so they're not going through it thinking this is,
No.
yeah.
And all
It
of
was just
our,
more curiosity.
and all of us do notify families ahead of time that we do evacuation drills and safety drills, and we tell them,
Right.
we just don't
Just
tell
not
them
when.
the exact date
Okay.
of when.
So your schools, you just perceived it different
Yep.
because the other ones all said, yes, the parents were notified, yes, students were notified, and the middle school was the only one that said no. So it was just the perception of when, so it wasn't just before, but they were notified before, okay.
Thank you guys for
Funny, we
doing
thought
that.
the same thing.
We're notified as it was happening.
Sure, it's,
Right, so
I
not
know it's,
everybody has
I know
their
you need
pros
to
and
do
cons.
it, and it's something that's definitely important, but,
Yeah.
We're doing it at work right now.
I mean, a student always having to do that was always fun. Yay, we're getting out of class,
Yeah.
so I'm sure it's not the greatest for teachers, but it needs to be
Unless
done.
it was raining and then it was.
Yeah, or cold, yes. Thank you, guys.
We did like nuclear
Yeah.
or some kind of weird bomb
Under
threat.
your chair,
Un-
or
yeah,
desk.
under
the
your
desk.
desk.
Why did we lose a board member? Okay, so we can,
Yeah, we have a majority.
I didn't know if you wanted to recess. Okay.
No.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right, our high school course catalog.
Yeah, Mr. Jelnick has submitted the 25-26 Lodi High School course catalog with the recommended changes. Administration is looking for approval.
I move to approve the high school course catalog as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Scott, second by Sarah Ramish. Any more discussion on course catalog for high school? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And our 25-26 calendar.
Yeah, so the Personnel Committee of the Board asked the district to survey families and staff regarding the possibility of starting school year with 2 transition days the last week of August, or starting school on September 2nd. The survey, as you can see, indicated the majority of families and staff wanted school to start on September 2nd. The calendar that's in front of the board reflects the results of the survey. The Personnel Committee reviewed the proposed 25-26 school calendar, unanimously moved it forward to the full board with the recommendation of approval.
I make a motion to approve the 25-26 school calendar as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Adam, second by Terry. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. State convention.
Yeah, State Education Convention is held in Milwaukee on January 21st to 24th. Please let Maureen Palmer know if you'll be attending by December 11th, and she will get you registered. Just so you know, Lodi is presenting as part of 3 different presentations at the State Education Convention, and we have a group singing on Friday.
I saw that.
Excited about that.
So we'll be well represented down there.
Awesome.
Okay, so who's all presenting?
Nick,
Vince and Vince?
no, Nick and Joe and myself will be talking about our business connections and business partnerships that we do through our PPG. I will be presenting with our social media company on how to use social media to share all the good news that's going on in the community. And then I'm also presenting with Boardman and Clark, talking about hiring of teachers out of foreign teachers.
Oh,
That as well.
Perfect. I thought it was gonna be like how to deal with an annoying board or something.
No, it's how
That's
you,
not- that's
it's
not a
how do
small
you get
session.
such a good
That's
board.
I think we need a lot more help.
It's how do you get such a good board is what it is. They're gonna ask you what you did.
Well, thank you guys for doing all that. That'll be fun.
How many of you are going?
I'm going. I love it.
I got COVID last year, so I couldn't.
Yeah, you missed
It's,
it.
Can you
it
go?
is amazing what you learn.
I
What
wasn't
do you need
even gonna
vacation days
ask.
for? Come
I-
on.
But I
Just
might
so-
ask. It does look intriguing.
It's amazing
It's
what you
just
learn.
school
And
just
even if you can't
starts.
make it for the whole time, you know, even
Yeah,
for
you
a
can
day.
go a
Yeah, you
day
can
or a
come
day and a
part-time.
half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
better, okay.
Do we need to make
You've
a
got mine,
motion?
right, Mom?
We don't need to make a motion
So
on this.
far.
Nope, no kind of motion.
Upcoming election.
Right, so we have.
It just said we got done with election.
I know, but we have 2 seats up for election, so Heather and Scott are both up for elections. These are at large for a 3-year term. Anyone interested in filling out campaign paperwork can find the needed forms on our website. No circulation of nomination papers are needed for those positions. All paperwork from non-incumbents is needed to be filed no later than Tuesday, January 7th at 5 p.m. in the district office. And just a reminder, the district office is closed from December 24th through January 2nd.
What about us?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
It
say.
has to be to me by, one way or another, by the December 27th. Sooner would be good if you could file it.
Just kidding.
You could, you have your paperwork, you can do it tonight if you want.
Wow.
Just be helpful.
Policy review?
Yes,
Here we go.
we have a policy review.
Yeah, the policy committee reviewed and unanimously moved the full board's recommendation of approval 11 policies and administrative guidelines recommended in Iowa at their November 7th, 2024 meeting.
I'm assuming this was all straightforward stuff.
Yeah.
It was all, it was,
Real
yeah,
easy.
it was,
It was
we were done in 15 minutes.
Stuff we've been waiting to do.
only
long.
because we read all of them ahead of time, 3 or 4
Yeah.
times.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was just all pretty minor,
Straightforward.
you know, very
What
straightforward.
is this,
so.
first readings, or are they just going straight?
We don't
to-
have to do any second
Okay,
readings
I
anymore.
just
Yep,
want to be clear.
correct.
Okay.
Why don't we have to do second readings?
So it's, we
Oh, we're-
adopted that policy in Neola that we only do first readings.
Right.
Perfect.
So we do have to make a motion, or we don't?
Yes.
Can I
Oh,
just
okay.
ask one question?
Sure.
Yes.
Sorry, I
yeah.
know you worked on this hard, but when they came and presented, so have we upped how much the school district is paying for the tuition for the STEM
No,
Academy?
No,
if you
so-
would
Or
go
is
and
it the
read
same?
this,
Yeah.
it's the initial policy
Yeah,
that
so
we
this,
always had.
yeah, sorry, so this is just a policy that we had not moved ahead our STEM policy and our CAP policy, so we brought them up. Facility and finance will be talking about whether we up the money for STEM, so we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
That's on,
Way ahead.
that'll be next Tuesday.
Sorry.
Nope,
Is that next week
It's
already?
good to know. If anybody's interested,
Oh my
go to the
gosh.
policy,
It's
or
like every
the
week.
facility and finance committee meeting, so that's good.
So how about I make a motion that we accept the policies as written?
I'll second that.
Motion by Terry, second by Teresa. Any more discussion?
You're not gonna read all these policies?
Did we read them?
No, no.
I have read every.
We have read every
fucking
single
thing.
one.
Motion.
No, I'm not gonna make a motion, I'm not gonna read all of them.
Adam, I even checked the citations.
You are funny.
So funny, right?
Do you want me to read, to say them?
No.
To make you happy?
No, she said as presented.
I did.
Yes.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Like herding cats.
Gifts and donations.
I'll jump right in and make a motion to accept with great gratitude the donation of the amount of $484 to cover the cost of a soprano xylophone, a donation of $5,000 from an anonymous donor for educational initiatives. Thank you, anonymous donor. Donation of $2,000 from LACE, Lodi Area Community Endowment, for high school weight room, and a donation of $2,000 from Lake Melvin Yacht Club for food service for students in need.
Thank you all.
Oh, that was
definitely.
nice.
Does anybody like to?
Oh, I'll second that.
We all were like, oh, and then we don't second.
Yeah.
Motion by Adam, second by Sarah Ramish. Any more discussion? Thank you, thank you, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. committee reports. CISA 5.
So I just was there the other day. Nick's not here, but going through Act 20, they went through Act 20 and all the different parts that they're providing to all the different school districts to help school districts get on the job of getting all of the Act 20 they need in, including early literacy screening, which seems to be in a crazy spot right now that they're trying to get through at the state level, at the DPI level. The mandatory professional development, they're trying to help all of the different school districts on that, which we are 65% partway through, and just the stuff that CISA 5 is amazing. Individualized reading plans for students K through 3, which is just like, the way they described it is a lot of kindergartners are gonna all get a reading plan because they can't read, which made no sense whatsoever. Yeah. And so CISA 5 is putting together those reading plans for you, so you can pull them off the shelf and customize them to each student. So you don't
We already have.
No, I'm sure, but just the fact that the requirement is for kindergartners to have a plan to read when you're not expecting them to be reading.
Act 20 is a huge flip.
Yes.
For every district, including ours, and we kind of talked about it, and Eric and Amy and Nick and Adria sometimes make it look easy. It's not easy.
No, it is, yeah, that's.
And they spend a lot of time, and they meet every week or every other week and have conversation.
And Amy, you said we already have that for our kindergarten?
Yeah, all of our reading plans are already finished. We did them all this fall. But yeah, so when you talk about all of kindergarten, I think we only have maybe 15 kindergartners out of 90-some kindergartners. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that has to be
I
done
thought
every
that's what you
time.
said, and I saw your big smile, so I figured.
Yeah, no, I was just like.
Every time, we're ahead.
I know.
Every time.
I
That has to
actually
be
felt like that when I
done
was in
every
CISA
year
5, I
with
felt
every
like they would talk
student?
about stuff.
Yeah,
Already
Three
doing
times a year.
3 times a year.
Assessment tests, yeah. And we tried it this fall, it was not required this fall, but we wanted to like test our system and to see all the things in place and also be able to make sure we were putting those things in place, like this U-Fly intervention we talked about there because once it starts in January, that is the law that you're required to have it. So we went through our system and, yeah, got it up and running and making progress, yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And then they're also doing other literacy supports, and audits for different school districts on, for their literacy. And then they talked about their library media specialist services, and they're currently serving 13 school districts who do not have librarians, and they're providing that for them. They have library assistants in the district, but not librarians, which are very hard to get. They talked about their English as a second language teacher services and their in-district coaching and support. And then we heard from the business manager, Mr. Mike Coltis. And since CISA 5 is taking Brent, I told Mike he was coming here to work, and he didn't have any problem with that, so he'll be showing up. So, Brent's going to be a consultant for CISA 5, so, which will really help CISA 5 and our other districts greatly.
So did you yell at CISA 5 or take
Yeah,
it?
kind of a little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Good.
I'm just gonna give them the stink eye. Yeah. Until I
But-
can't anymore.
Their business manager services are in many districts, and they are doing Brent's job in districts from CISA 5.
Yeah.
So they don't have business managers in some districts. CISA 5 does it, so.
Thank you, Adam.
Sure.
Co-curricular items and a report.
All right, cross-country. The cross-country team had a busy last month of competition. On October 19th, the team competed in the conference meet at the Columbus Country Club. Senior Roger Melland won the individual conference championship with a time of 16 minutes, 40 seconds. Roger was also selected as Conference Runner of the Year.
Ooh, nice.
Everett Clemens, Nolan Pertzborn, and Zoe Bahe, I hope I said that right, all placed well enough to earn second team all-conference honors. The boys and girls teams finished in fourth place overall. Football, the Lodi football team finished the regular season with an overall record of 6-3 and a conference record of 4-2. The Blue Devils earned a number 4 seed in the WIAA Division IV playoffs. The team hosted number 5 Wisconsin Dells to open the playoffs, coming away with a 37-20 win. Woo. The season came to an end in the second round of the playoffs with the 29-0 loss to number 1 Aquinas. Yep. Bummer. Soccer, I heard all about it. The varsity boys soccer team finished the season with an overall record of 11-4-4 and a conference record of 6-2. Lodi earned a number 3 seed and defeated University Lake School at home on Thursday, October 24th, in an 8-0 victory. Lodi secured a regional championship at home on Saturday, October 26th, with a thrilling 2-1 win over Winnebago Lutheran. Their season came to an end in the sectional semifinal with a 2-0 loss to St. John's Northwest Military Academy. Good job, soccer. Volleyball. The volleyball team finished the season with an overall record of 27-11 and a conference record of 5-3. Lodi earned a number 4 seed in the WIAA playoffs. Their season came to an end in a home loss to number 5 Platteville. Swimming. The swim team is having a strong season. They have won 3 invites this season and recently took 3rd place in the Badger Small Varsity Conference meet. Sophomore Katie Fry was 2nd team all-conference on the 50 freestyle. This past weekend, the team competed in the Division I sectional meet at Sun Prairie West High School. Musical. This year's musical, The Music Man, opens this coming Saturday night. Performances will be held in the Lodi High School Performing Arts Center on Saturday, November 16th at 7 p.m. and Sunday, November 17th at 2 p.m. Friday at 2 p.m. Friday, November 22nd at 7 p.m. and Saturday, November 23rd at 7 p.m. Ordering tickets online ahead of time is strongly recommended.
Nice, thank you. I think that's the only way you can get tickets now.
Yeah.
You can't just walk in and try to purchase a ticket. I saw somebody try to do that.
I thought
I think you can, I think you can go to the
Can
game.
you?
Yeah.
I think you can.
But the seats are reserved, so
Yeah,
I mean,
so
you're not gonna have great
You'll be in the
tickets,
edge.
probably.
Yeah,
You'd wanna buy
You'll
them
be on the
online.
They're all good seats in there, everyone.
I was gonna
Yes.
say, they're pretty decent. You can hear well from
And it's
all of
easy to
them.
order online.
Yep, it is. It's very easy.
OSC. Okay, well, as Eric indicated earlier, there were parent-teacher conferences recently. OSC's also been implementing changes due to Act 20, and that's been going really well. Some recent activities were Indian Agency House, a 3rd grade farm field trip, 5th graders presenting on the trail to Lake Ridge Bank for the Ice Age Trail Alliance. Also, there was an Ice Age Trail campus designation event that took place on Wednesday, October 23rd at 4 p.m. The OSC mini projects are underway, and students were able to pick a topic of interest, which will help them learn the process as they work towards completion of their big project, which happens each year. They were also going to be checking in to see if 2nd graders might like to come and see the mini project presentations. Something I think is extra cool is Annie McGrath has agreed to create an OSC lemonade jelly that will be sold. Yeah, which is her Annie Jam is now going to have her lemonade jelly. Yes. So they have students. They've discussed, I don't know that this has actually been enacted yet. Eric, we haven't decided for sure if students are gonna design the label or have.
They are designing the label.
They are, okay. So that's very cool also. I also wanted to.
She's my sister-in-law.
Yeah, I also, yeah, she's delicious jam, I have to
Yes.
say. I love the blueberry lemon is my favorite.
Me too.
Is it? Okay, that's funny. I also wanted to mention that the OSC store is currently open right now, so you can order OSC merch if you're interested. And finally, OSC, what's that?
Is there a link somewhere
I can send it
for
to
the,
you guys.
for the community?
It was just shared, but yeah, we can.
Yeah, we could send
Is it
it.
on like Facebook? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Like somewhere, some way on the
Yeah.
district website to find it
Yeah,
for
for sure.
people out there. Perfect.
And the final piece I think that's important to share is that OSC is currently working on their charter renewal. There is a charter renewal timeline that's been proposed from this month through June, and there's a committee that's been convened that's going to be kind of tackling that more intensely. So, do you have anything to add to that?
Be great.
No, thank you.
I'm excited about this
That's a great
jam.
report, yes. All right, our board committee reports, we will start with personnel.
We talked about everything.
Yeah, I was gonna, you told us that we,
We don't need
that
a
was
report.
our,
We don't need a report.
yeah, Vince had to do the, it's 5:45 or whatever time it was.
Yes, next committee.
All right, curriculum.
All right, we were the next committee, no, we were not that night. All right, so we met on October 15th at 4:30. And we were asked to reevaluate and look at the we had a STEAM Academy discussion. It's students that are able to attend actually Madison College now and continue their studies there. They can they apply as a sophomore and they can go as a junior, right? So a junior and senior year, we have 4 students currently in that program. And at this point, the district, which is the policy that was just, has always paid for 2/3 of the tuition, and the parent is, and the student is responsible for 1/3 of the tuition. And unless you're free and reduced lunch, then we pay everything. But the other communities around us that have they have more people going, are paying the full percent. So we're sending that to the finance committee to look at. So that's what we did. Teresa gets to be on both, so there you go. You're up to date on what's happening. Okay, so then the Lodi Library Plan, Paula Tun came as our library specialist, and library services also are required through Wisconsin Administrative Code P18.01 to have a media specialist plan. And you can find that, it's linked in the curriculum meeting. She had this incredible plan. It was just incredible, it just blew us away. So anyway, she's done that and she was sharing that with us, and you can go there and look if you want to know more.
We approved it tonight in the consent agenda.
Yes, and we approved it tonight, consent agenda, yes, thank you. Okay, and lastly was our new course proposals, and Joe was able to come with, and the art teacher had talked to us before about it, and there were 2.
And we approved those?
And we approved those tonight, so there we go. Just telling you what we did.
Busy, busy.
Okay.
Facility and finance.
NAMI came to us 3 months ago, and they were supposed to tell us about how we were saving or spending money on electricity and gas in the school district. They didn't tie it to the heating degree days. And so if it's a warm winter, you're going to use less. And so they went back to tie it to the heating degree days, and they brought that back, but then they didn't compare it to the other years to see if we were saving money or losing money. So they're going to come back again one more time.
They just like to visit you, or what?
Yes. We talked about the phone system upgrade, which we approved in consent agenda. We talked about the OSC HVAC Controllers over there, which we passed really quick tonight, but had a long discussion about those at committee meeting. We now should have fully funded turf replacement at the high school when that needs to be replaced, because we placed enough money in a fund that will grow over time with the other money we placed in there in previous years to match that when we get there, so that's great. Fire suppression, there is fire suppression in the primary school, but none of our other buildings. So if there's a fire, there's no overhead sprinklers. So we were asking, what is the cost of that to add to all of our buildings? It is a lot of money. And so many of the fires that are started in school, fires are incredibly rare, so that's the first thing. And then the fires that are started are usually started in specific areas. And so we asked, what would it cost to cover those specific areas as a cheaper alternative? And so we'll get that back sometime in the future.
Are we talking about like where they're working with wood and stuff, or is that?
Yeah, CTE would be one of the places,
okay.
yeah, for sure.
Adam, are you saying that the district no longer has to place any money in the account for turf?
It should be covered. When you look at the.
We'll look at the new estimates that it's gonna cost for turf, so that's the part we'll have to continue to
I
look
mean, I
at.
saw that it was a sizable amount that.
Depending on how the economy goes forward and how much interest comes in and that kind of stuff, it looks like it will be covered.
Because when would we have to replace that about?
Quite a ways out.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully another 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
But it's time
Good that
between 8
we're
and
planning.
15 years, but
Okay.
hopefully after 15.
Depending on if the shock pad needs to be replaced.
Yeah, and hopefully the shock pad shouldn't be the shock pad. The initial thought was
And
the
the
shock
shock
pad would go
pad is
through,
right underneath
is
it.
underneath and would go for 2 rounds of
Okay.
turf.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's like the.
But you may have to put somewhere in there.
No, of course, but it's
We're
on track.
definitely making, have gotten a long way towards that promise that the district made, that they would put money away towards replacing that turf when it was.
Ahead of time.
Is that looked at yearly? A decision to put money in or not?
We have, the last few years, we've looked at it.
That's what we did last year.
Yep.
Again, the amount just struck me as a high amount, higher than we've done in the
It
past. But I
has.
assume that's been due to some of the surplus Brad was referring to.
But,
So,
but then it
makes sense.
accrues more money over time when you have a larger amount in there.
Right.
Okay.
I just wasn't sure by how you worded it, if this was, felt this would be the last contribution that would need to be made and then interest would cover that, but it sounds like maybe not.
I didn't realize that, I thought we were still putting the 50,000 a year,
Piggybacking
whatever
it.
it was, but
That's in a different fund.
Possibly.
You're talking about a capital fund. That This is just a designated just for turf, but we also put 50,000 a year into Fund 46 every year.
okay,
That can cover others.
All right, well, thank you. Policy.
We went over them, won't meet until January, and we don't know what we're gonna have
Yep.
yet, do we? Not yet, so.
Okay, great. All right. Our future meetings, agenda items. So our next regular school board meeting is Monday, December 9th at 5:30. Closed session, 6:30 is open. Our curriculum committee meeting is Tuesday, November 19th at 4:30. Facility and finance is Tuesday, November 19th at 6 p.m. Personnel is Thursday, January 9th at 4:30. And our policy is Thursday, January 9th at 6. Because no committee meetings meet in December, correct?
Typically not unless we
Unless we need
need
them,
to, and
okay.
then we will schedule that with the group.
Facility and finance sometimes
Sometimes does.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, November 21st is our special board.
Yes, so a week from Thursday,
Our next retreat, right?
Next week.
Yeah,
last one.
yeah.
We do.
That's enough, Sarah, that's
I
enough.
know, we had 3 last
Just
week.
kidding. We do not need to reconvene, I believe, to closed.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion by Sarah Ramish, second by Terry. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thanks, everybody.